What's
Hi,
up?
what's up?
And I forgot to say, this is brought to you courtesy of TypeMedicalCenter.com, my title sponsor, and Amazon's FitMax, Celebrate the Female Physique. What's up? How are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Great. I love your hair, by the way. I don't have any, but I
Thank
love
you. Just easy, quick little bit of a scrunch, and it's good to go.
God, it looks fantastic. It looks really good.
Thank you.
So when we last spoke, different sponsors, different, I guess, things going on. I think last time we spoke was like right after the word that we can now say, COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, now you don't get banned for saying it that out loud.
Yeah, right? Lots changed, which I think now for the better. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
um, yeah, I did two pro debuts back to back. I did the Europa Pro and I did the Texas Pro back in 2021. So a little bit different. Now I'm actually in Texas again, which I'm super happy about.
Very cool. And so two pro debuts, that's interesting because I mean, usually there's like one debut only, but it's the two of them. And of course you won in 2019, which is a really, really big title. USA's and North Americans, I mean, those are the two biggest. So
Yeah, so 2019 I won women's physique class A and then turned around and won the overalls at USA's, which I hold dear to my heart. I love USA's. It was a fantastic show and a really awesome title to hold on to. Um, let's see, yeah, two pro debuts. So it was back to back, 1 week apart. That's why I say it was, two. So there wasn't a whole lot of turnaround. I competed on Saturday and then again that next Friday. So went straight from Arizona, straight out to Texas, stayed with my family, drove over to Dallas, and then hit the stage again. So it was crazy.
was 2020 off the table for you in terms of making a pro debut with all the crazy going on?
Basically, like we were living in Sacramento and I wanted to do the San Jose Pro, but they were kind of up in the air with what they were going to do. And I just couldn't go through half of a prep and then just to realize that, oh, they're going to cancel it or postpone it another 5 months. And I just couldn't do it. So it just wasn't worth it to me. So that's why I got out.
I mean, now it seems like another world ago, but I mean, shows were being postponed indefinitely and without any notice. I mean, like some of them were postponed like the week of. It's like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, me personally, I didn't want to risk it. I know that there's probably other shows that you could have done, but I just didn't want to walk on stage with a mask personally. You spend money with the makeup, you spend money on your hair just to walk around and then you got half your face covered. So
right.
that was kind of my judgment.
And I'm guilty of wearing those stupid masks, but now you can actually speak freely. But those masks, I think at best were like only like a 5% protect. I mean, it was like, just like the product of the hysteria, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is basically that we're far apart on stage, but also, I mean, we're at a very low body fat percentage, a very risky state as it is. So whether or not, if you believe in they work, believe in that they don't, I just didn't see the point of trying to fight all of the chaos with it. So I just sat back and did a little bit of an off season, got my bearings together, waited for shows to just be normal.
No, definitely. Now, did you start out in women's physique, or did you start out in figure and then move up, or women's bodybuilding and move down? How did you pick the division?
So I started off in figure. My very first figure show was the Phil Heath in 2015 in Houston, and I ended up winning the overall at that show. So at that point, I was like, okay, this is a really good option for me to do. So I went to North Americans that same year and quickly realized that I had a lot of work to do.
No, definitely.
So I took one more year in figure and then realized I wanted to be in women's physique. And I think just the freedom of posing and my dance background and gymnastics background really helped out in women's physique, creating choreography and posing. So this is the division I absolutely love and hold dear to my heart.
Absolutely. And definitely going to talk about the posing. But before we do that, and I don't want to scare anybody, but can you talk a little bit about winning the Phil Heath, which I'm sure you look fantastic, but then, you know, getting on the national stage, because the national stage is such a whole different can of worms that I don't think, I mean, you can win a regional show, you can win a local, then you go to the national stage and you're up against maybe 30 ladies, and that's just in one class.
Yeah. So the NPC in Texas was huge, absolutely huge. That was whenever Lee Thompson was a part of the industry before he split and created his own organization.
Right.
So that show in particular, I shit you not, 1,100 competitors at that show. And there was at least, I think it was 12 to 15 to 18 girls per class for figure. I won novice, open, and then won the overall, and it shocked me. I mean, for me, that was my very first show ever. I just wanted to place because I didn't have expectations, you know. And then walking away from a big win like that, I go to nationals, and personally, I don't think I was ready for it. I didn't know. I could have done a lot more. I know that for sure. You know, you always go through a prep and say that you don't want to leave any stone unturned. And I did. And I didn't realize it at the time. I was a little younger, and that's my first year competing. It's a lot more than you expect. And the girl that did go pro in my category in Class A was she's a top Olympian for figure. So it's night and day almost. And I don't know if anyone's really fully prepared. You just gotta pay attention to the shows in general, see who's winning.
Yeah, I really like that you said that you don't know if anyone's ever truly prepared. Sometimes you just kind of have to cut your teeth and just ground running. I mean, you're never going to be, and I don't even compete, but from a journalistic perspective, you get to that national stage. I don't care if it's North Americans, if it's Masters Nationals, USA's. I mean, completely different situation. And also going back to what you had said about Texas, like I truly do believe, the saying it's bigger in Texas because Sammy Ganem, when he won, I was like, he won against 43 guys in classic physique. Again, 43 guys in classic. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Texas, it must be insane as well.
Yeah, and now they're bringing the nationals to Texas. So that's just incredible. I mean, I was kind of shocked. I always wondered if they would make another nationals, just another one in general, but they're taking actual nationals, bringing it to Texas. And I was like, that's badass. So cool. I just feel like it's definitely going to be a really, really big show. That's for sure.
So this is the second time that Macy has educated me. First with the posing, Bob Ciccarello, Milos. I had no idea that was going on. We're going to talk about that. And now he's telling me that the Nationals are going to Texas. I also had no idea about that either. So you're educating me with this. Really appreciate that. That's going to be wild. If the Nationals are in Miami, right?
Yeah, it's normally in Florida, which I mean, I don't know how far back it goes with being in Florida, but as long as I've been in the industries, I mean, it's been in Florida every year. I think even as far back as, people winning in like early 2000s. But I mean, being in Texas is going to be a really awesome opportunity. Business development, growth. There's a lot of people here, and it might be cheaper, maybe.
I saw Jazzy in here. Thank you for stopping by. And of course, my man, John Benavides. Thank you for stopping by as well. Do you know John?
John
Benavides?
I don't. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Always shredded. Like it's just like it makes me thirsty to look at him. Like it looks like he hasn't had ages. Yeah. So tell us then. So you pick women's physique. Now all this while, are you? And I shouldn't assume, but are you self-prepping? Is Dillon helping you, or do you go through different coaches? Do you have a coach? Or like.
So as of right now, I do not have a coach. I'm still trying to decide on if I'm going to outreach to get a coach. Still on the fence about it. And also me and Dillon have been collaborating on if we're going to prep me and then reach out to someone for a third eye. because I know a lot of people do that as far as just pulling in and making sure you peak properly and then transitioning from one show to another, which I kind of have plans to do. It's now on the time and the radar of like I need to decide within the next 2 weeks if I'm going to make that decision. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's interesting because you're at a stage in your career where you won the USAs, you're already a pro, you've done pro debuts, not one but two. So now it's not like you're looking for a coach to get you to pro or get you nationally qualified. Now you kind of need a coach that's really gonna feel like is gonna really be worth. They're gonna really have to put up or shut up, and it's not like you're gonna give them a year or two or three. They've got to. I mean, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and one of the biggest reasons why I'm taking my time with trying to pick a coach is because I know a lot of women have a biological clock. So depending on if someone wants family or not, I do plan on having kids. So we want to have that within the next year or two. So I just want to be able to make sure I'm aligned with a coach that's not going to risk health factors for me, because that is something that is very important to me.
And I think that's very, very cool, very good that you put that out there as a non-negotiable right front before anything happens.
Absolutely. And, it's a lot of high risk, high reward, or low reward, just kind of depends on how you look at it as far as bodybuilding goes. I definitely love the sport. I don't do it for the fact that it is a career choice. I do it because I enjoy every bit of intensity and just pure grit, I guess you'd say. I did turn pro, so it is a huge, I guess, a huge accomplishment, but I still want to take it a bit further. But sometimes you have to weigh in the factors at what risk. Because if you're going to do this, you have to understand that you need to dedicate a certain amount of time. If you dedicate that amount of time, what does it look like in your future? Do you want a family? Do you have, the amount of income to sustain it? So that's kind of a lot of the things that you need to look at from an outside perspective, not just, oh my God, I love it, anything it takes. You have to weigh all of those options.
Which is very responsible, I think, and you're consulting Dillon as well. It's your life, not his, but couple. You're a unit, you're a family. So I think it's important that you're doing that. I really, really applaud you for putting up that non-negotiable. If you tell the coach what you want and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, I think that's really important, because you're going to weed out a lot of the people that, there's a lot of coaches, they feel like they can take over your entire life. That's not.
Yeah, exactly. And a coach at the end of the day, I mean, for the most part, not a lot of them are doctors. They can't prescribe you anything. They can't force you to do anything.
Not legal.
At the end of the day, it is up to you to make the decision to do the things that they ask you to do. So, I mean, it's really up to you on how far you want to take it.
Exactly. So let's do a hypothetical. I always love those. If everything worked out, if you either worked with Dillon 80% of the time and had a second set of eyes to come in for that last 20%, or you found a coach that was just the right fit, if everything worked out, how far do you want to go? Do you want to go, if Arnold woke up with some sense and brought women's physique back, would you want to go there? Would you want to go to the Olympia stage? Would you be happy with a pro win anywhere? What if I'm saying, if everything fell into place, how far would you go?
I would love to walk on the Olympia stage. Would love to do it. Do I think I could win Olympia in women's physique? No. I mean, I'm being realistic with myself, mainly because I'm just not pushing it as far as some are. And that's on me. And I totally understand it. I love the physique I have. And I know I could push my shoulders a little bit more. But as far as being 5 foot, 135, 140 pounds, I'm set on having the physique that I think is a great representative for women's physique. But I would love a pro win. I would absolutely love it. I even talked to Dillon. I was like, if I came second at, a show or two this year, if it was my second show and I came second, I would stop. And mainly I would stop because that would feel satisfaction for me. And then I would have children, and then I'd come back, because I just don't want to put myself at risk for not having kids, is all.
You keep repeating that. I'm glad you do, because it's important to you, and important things are to be repeated and reiterated, and no mistake made. So I can definitely tell that. I think it's great. And with regards to pushing yourself, and again, almost to dumb it down, but for me, what does that mean? Like, in other words, are we talking, we can keep it PC, we can keep it vague, but are we talking to training? Are we talking to eating? Are we talking
A
supplements?
little bit of all of it. I mean, as far as training, eating, it could be protocol, it could be the amount of cardio, all of it. Honestly, I mean, I don't mind pushing myself in prep, but I know that I can be good at a lot of things, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be great at one thing. And I actually had someone explain this to me today, because I'm kind of all over the place the past few months trying to make a decision, but I need to be great at one thing. And if I'm going to be great at it, I need to put all of my energy into it.
Right.
And that's what I have been doing with bodybuilding, but it's been putting things on the back burner. And as you shift into another type of life, you know, life outside of bodybuilding, what does that look like? Can you handle it? Are you going to go through mental depression? Do you disappear off social media? You know, all those things that come to play. How do you handle it? So I don't think I could push the amount of effort into being that top tier, I guess is what my answer would be.
A second ago, I was like, no, that's not true. But I mean, I don't know like what you're thinking these past few months, but I can say, based off of listening to you here, is that you're making perfect sense to me. And your answer was perfect, because most people probably say me. Let's not even say most people, me. When I hear someone say, I don't want to push it that hard, I'm thinking protocols only. But it's not. It's food, it's it's everything. It's not just that.
Yeah.
Track mind. I have a one-track mind. I'm guilty of that. But I think you answered that perfectly. So I think your priorities are clear. I don't think you're going to have any problems finding a coach, but I think it's good that you've got your goals set up. Fortunately, there's not like to be a site called Rate My Professor, you know, for like college courses and that sort of thing. There is no such thing for a coach. So, you know, you got to really take your time, maybe ask around, maybe ask that person's current clients, and especially their past clients, because coaches and clients don't work out, but they have to amicably break. That's usually a sign. But if a coach is like out to get that poor competitor for leaving them, probably keep looking, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I totally understand how coaches can charge what they charge.
Right.
We're in America, capitalism, you know, I totally get it. You are worth what you believe you're worth. But at the end of the day, with inflation and everything going up, how can we afford the food, afford mortgage, car notes, whatever it may be, your gym memberships? You know, not everyone gets like full paid sponsorships. Some do, and they're very, very lucky. But if you're going to be able to do this and really put the full effort, you got to make sure that you can back that bill, which is being able to afford the food.
Exactly.
And just like, you know, eggs have been going up in cost.
Up with that. Like, eggs are more expensive than gasoline. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're driving to the gym, that costs gas, you know? You have your auto insurance. A lot of people go through a lot of stuff, and I've been there, you know? There's times where I shouldn't have competed, and I did, and I put myself in a really tough spot. But I mean, it was all for going pro, and I don't regret it, because it made me the person I am today, but it made me understand better priorities.
Absolutely. And I was like, IG stalking you there a little bit. I see you're working with Man Sports and Iron Rebel.
Yes.
Rebel reposted the graphic a couple times in a row. So that's real cool. I've known about them for a long time. So it looks like they're working with good people.
Yeah, absolutely. Man Sports is amazing. They have an umbrella of companies that's, they just dropped Snack Time, which is a protein filled oats. So So it's 25 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs. It's really amazing. They also have their vitamin side, which is really great products, your multivitamins, Gut Joy, and then you also have the more gym style, which is your game day pre-workout, BCAAs, and your protein. So really amazing company. And it's not just bodybuilding, it's also lifestyle as well.
And that
And
was
Rebel, oh, sorry. And then Iron Rebel, of course, is amazing, great group of people between athletes from powerlifting all the way to bodybuilding, just all around great community.
absolutely. And thank you to Iron Rebel. They reposted the graphic twice. I really appreciate that because I'll get the word out. And, this interview, and I'm going to do an article, also will be available at Strength App within the hour we end. But I was smiling because I don't know who it was. I'm not going to name you, but somebody actually had the audacity to come in here and ask Macy for a bicep something. You guys are out of your minds.
Oh,
but
what now?
somebody asked you to do a bicep pose or something. I was trying not to,
super tiny right now.
well, the thing is that like fans of muscular women are like, they will stop at nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
The Bag is one of my sponsors, and they do a fantastic job. Maybe one day you can shoot with Glenn. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's why I like when, I hate to mention him, in a negative fashion, but Bob Ciccarello years ago, before he started working for Jake Wood and started being, female bodybuilding's biggest supporter, used to say that women's bodybuilding was dead and there was no market for muscular women. And boy, was he wrong. He was like so wrong.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I mean, not so much supplements as big as guys and the stage, but the fetishes and the online presence, it is top notch for women in bodybuilding. Just unbelievable. And I get messages a lot.
Yeah, and the thing is again, we could do PT or not, but like, it's not a sexual thing. Really, it's not. Like that's like the biggest like mistake I think that fans of muscular women. It's a true admiration for athleticism of the female athlete. It's not a sexualized thing. It's not a taboo thing. Like at these expos, when, and again, I'm kind of annoyed with Arnold, but before he removed bodybuilding, especially before he removed women's physique, the lines at these expos were like around the corner. They wanted autographs, they wanted self, and it wasn't your stereotypical schmo. I mean, guys look like Dillon, like jacked to the, just massive dudes. You know what I mean? Like ripped.
I mean, people look up and admire women who do this because men have a little bit more of an advantage. They can do way more, but we put up with way more. I personally think, between the emotions, the psychological side of it, trying to balance femininity with muscle, it's insane what you have to try to do in order to stay, sexy, beautiful woman and strength all combined. It's a lot.
No,
not downplaying what guys do.
No, absolutely. And one thing that I learned from one of my old bosses that I still look up to greatly, and this is not meant to be sexist, but it is sexist. Dave Palumbo always said that women take their preps to the next level. They don't cheat. They don't cut corners. I mean, if you tell them to eat dirt, do it. And that's not that they're not smart. That's not what it is that they're so freaking driven. Guys cheat, not women.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people in the industry, they say they want to date someone that's also a bodybuilder, but they're scared to date while they're in prep. Me and Dillon are totally opposite of that. We love to be in prep because we feed off of each other's energy. If there's ever a disagreement, we know we do not have the energy to even put forth a fight. We're both like, yeah, that's stupid. Okay. We just walk off.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I was on the fence. I was like, should I ask her that? It's awfully nosy, but I was going to ask you, have you and Dillon ever prepped together for a show or prepped at the same time, doing shows? Because most couples, they can't, that's like break up in a bottle. I mean, they just can't do it.
Yeah, we did in 2019. He did a show, the Cal State, and then that's whenever I did USA's. And then he went to USA's while I was in prep for my pro debuts. So, I mean, so far, the shows that we've done together, we've prepped together. And then we've been in off season together so we can both enjoy pizza and not feel bad.
I had no idea he did the Cal State is no joke. That's a big, big show. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
it doesn't have a fancy name to it, like, like the Caliber or something, but that's a big show.
Yeah. It was a really good show. That was his first year and he did amazing. He's really, really amazing as far as coming in conditioned. Like, it's just insane. He would literally, his shift was from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 10:30 at night. And he would wake up, eat his first meal, go to the gym and train, do his cardio, come back, take a quick nap, get his meals ready, go to work, and then come home, do cardio again at night, and then just go to bed like clockwork. And he was just on top of it. It was insane.
There's something. He's a police officer, right?
Yeah.
There's something
And at
about
that time, he was riding a motorcycle too. So, I mean, he was doing a lot of work.
there's something about cop. Ronnie Coleman, cop, and he was Mr. Olympia, and he was a cop for 2 years. Rocco, there in Chicago, he's a cop too, and he's like he just does a 12-hour shift and somehow gets the energy to go do a full workout. I mean, but it's because you love it. I think that's got to be what it is.
He's just got a different mindset. If this is the thing he's going to do, he's got to do it. And that's just the type of person he is. It doesn't matter what it is, what time of day it is, what day of the week it is. He's got to do it. It's got to get done.
Definitely. So what's this about posing? Telling me about, 'cause you sent me this graphic and I'm blown away by it because I've always believed that posing is how an athlete really expresses themselves. I mean, that's so important. I mean, the mandatories I guess you could express yourself in any setting. The mandatories are a little boring. I mean, that's really for judges, but the posing in general, that's where like the competitor connects with the audience and even with themselves. So the idea that it's not scored is pretty mind-boggling.
So, I mean, for me personally, I don't live stream shows because I know for a fact it's going to be glitchy and I'm never going to get the high quality as if someone like Yoko puts a video on Instagram. I can see so much more just off of posts from Instagram versus a live stream. So, and the live stream, from what I've seen, they'll be, super close, cut back, and then they're over here. So I don't really care for that. It's not football. I mean, I can understand some of the commentary, but I think the biggest deal shows and these big names, you're expecting a huge performance. And that's what this is. It should be performing what you've built for the past God amount of years, and the grueling pain of prep itself. Just expressing art because your body is the art itself. So whenever someone's on stage and they do a front relax, they just relax themselves with the gut and then turn and then do their quarter turn. I want to see someone get out there and really be able to flow from each transition. And I think that's kind of what Milos was saying. But I know Bob Chick and everybody took the physique round out and combined it. So there wasn't as many rounds now that there's more categories and there's not enough time for everyone to be on stage that long. So,
but I think, I understand where he's coming from in the sense that to move it along. But I mean, if there isn't enough time to do justice to each division, then don't add any more divisions. I mean, I don't think that any division should sacrifice time.
Yeah. And that's kind of what's hard is you don't want a 2-day show. I've done them. They suck. They're brutal. They're really hard on the body, especially whenever you're in Vegas in the middle or in the end of July. That is brutal. But I mean, if they split them up to where they have girls all one day, guys all one day, maybe that would make sense. But then there's the risk of having enough fans coming in, seeing, and getting enough money as far as ticket sales. So I can understand the economic side of it, but as for someone as an athlete, I feel like some people are losing the art side of it. But that's probably why they brought in classic physique.
Well, I'm definitely going to be tag Jake Wood in this. Now, Jake and I have never, we've never actually spoken. I've emailed him. I don't know if he reads my emails or not, but I know that he's liked a couple of my things. And my feeling, I mean, I totally understand your concern from the business standpoint, but what I would do, and again, everybody has an idea, right? But like what I would do, I would sell a ticket to the Olympia, for example, and that ticket gets you all the divisions. So, you know, if you don't want to go to the women, that's fine, but your ticket gets you to see the women as well. But I really like your idea of having a day just for the women and a day just for the guys, because, I mean, the women, you got the figure, fitness, wellness, physique, and bodybuilding. That's 6 divisions there. You know, then the men, you know, you've got men's physique, classic, 212, and open. So that's 10 divisions. And to just squish all that into one day, you know, and then they were complaining in Vegas how it was going into like 12, 1 in the morning. So that's why a lot of people say they moved it back to Orlando, because everything's more proximate to the venue and they could maybe get the show done with before, say, 1 a.m. But you're still squeezing 10 divisions into one day. So, you know, with the Olympian, there's 2 days, but even still, though, I like the idea of one day just for the men, one day just for the women. I really like that.
Yeah, I just feel like it just makes more sense. It gives more time for you on stage. I do know of some pro shows where we're supposed to get 45 seconds on stage, and then some people are just rushed, and then they only get maybe 15 to 30 seconds. And you're a pro. Like, that is not fair. You've spent a lot of money and a lot of time getting to that point. And no matter how shitty you look on stage, you deserve the time if you want to take it, you know? Yeah, go ahead.
No, and especially if the promoter, if you got a promoter like a Tim Gardner or a Jake Wood, you know, or a Steve Weinberger that are putting a lot of money into the pay-per-view, a lot of money into the production. I'm not talking about a show where, like, you know, they stick a phone on a stand and that's your stream. That's crap. But I mean, if you're putting all that money into the lighting and into the production, again, I mean, some pros are going to go to that show and they've prepped for weeks and they've paid for that gas to the gym and the gym membership, the food, the stuff, all that stuff. That 45 seconds, they deserve that 45 because they may not place, they may not win, but make it worth it. Let them have their 45 seconds, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I do like is that now Sarah, she's got the Texas Pro where she's actually putting more of her own money into women's physique, which is incredible. And anybody can look at this IFBB Pro list of the schedule for all these shows. Women's physique shows is super tiny, very, very tiny. It makes it very difficult as a competitor to go to some of these shows to try to even get somewhere on the board, because there's, I mean, you could add the European shows or the Mexico or Brazil or whatever, you could add those in and it's still not anywhere near comparable to the amount of bikini shows. Right. And nothing against bikini, I totally get it. You're also a pro, but the money just isn't there for women's physique, and it feels like we're not being taken care of and nobody cares about us because we're the black sheep.
Well, you know, I think that it's just, you know, it's very sad that Arnold got rid of women's physique. But, you know, what I know for a fact loves muscular women for all the right reasons. The Olympia, really honestly, is standard that all other promoters should go. But you're right. I mean, to compete, you know, you hope you'll place, but again, I mean, is there a hotel covered? Is air covered? You know, per diem. I mean, all these are all things, and prize money for open bodybuilding, yes, but pretty much any other division.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, you got, if you squish the amount of shows and you minimize it, there's not enough shows throughout the year. That means you're going to have 40, 50 girls at one show. And I mean, to me, I'm like, what's the point of that? I mean, I did the Europa just because it was the same exact day as Tampa. I did it on purpose because I knew there was going to be 40 girls in Tampa. There was 8 girls in Phoenix. So that was strategy to me. Texas Pro, that was the first year. That one had 25 or 26 girls. I mean, these shows get stacked because there's not a lot of options for us.
Right. And please don't misconstrue. I'm saying bikini competitors, but some, not all, but some bikini competitors can prep for 3 weeks and jump on stage. God bless them. But women's physique and women's bodybuilding, you can't do that. You can't even do that with 8 weeks or 10. I mean, you need a lot of time to prep, and that means a lot of money. So again, Macy's point, I think is very well taken. I mean, it's just, and it's not that it's not fair. I mean, that's not fair, but I mean, it's a popular division. It's a very popular division. I mean, you just mentioned Sarah Villegas a little bit ago, Natalia just won, Shanique Grant, my God. I mean, there's some heavy hitters in women's physique, and it drops tickets. So there's got to be something, hopefully, in the future. I mean, after all, this is a division made famous by Dana Lynn Bailey, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and especially since it's a division that also does posing. I mean, some of these girls, they work really hard on posing, and they're phenomenal. I do a lot of choreography for lots of divisions for posing, and I put a lot of time and effort into that. And a lot of the guys do get to do it, but if you don't make top call outs, you don't get to perform your routine. So it's kind of disheartening for us, but there's no way 40 girls can do 2-minute routines, at one show where you're stacked with 10 divisions. So, I mean, I get it.
But there would be a way if it was women one day and men another day. I mean, there would be. And again, I really think, look, the fans want it. The fans want it. And do you know how I know they want it? Is because the single most entertaining division of all to watch the Olympia is not open bodybuilding, it's fitness. The fans go nuts when those girls do their routines.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And so that's why the posing, I think, is so important. 45 seconds times 40 equals a lot of entertainment, in my opinion,
Yeah, and maybe that's something they could work on, and I know that's why they split up pro shows with only like 1 or 2 divisions per show. But I mean, a lot of them are like bikini wellness, men's physique, but we get kind of left out. And there's a lot of time that can be thrown in for us if that was an option.
Absolutely. So with regards to the future, right now you're coach shopping sort of, and are you looking at shows in 2023, 2024?
2023, I'm looking at just a few, maybe the USA Pacific, and then also possibly, what was the other one? Oh, Legion. So we'll see.
Reno?
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I love how you said we're looking at named shows quite specific. So rather than looking at those few shows at this point, but that's good though. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of up in the air. It just kind of depends, but I also kind of dabbled the idea of doing a figure. I'm just not entirely 100% sold on it.
Interesting. That is, you can compete in any division as a pro. You can cross team, you can do, but it is.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people are actually switching over to wellness, which is really awesome. I thought about it. I can't give up training upper body yet.
Right. No, it's and the strategy of it all is also very interesting, but chance of moving up though, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm saying no chance of bodybuilding, right? It's gonna be
no. No. I don't think I could do that.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I would love to do this again. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Maybe like in 6 months. I know that sounds like a long time, but it's not. And maybe like in 5 or 6 months we can do this again. At that point, I would imagine you'd probably be prepping. Well, we know for sure if you're doing a show. So.
Yeah, we'll know for sure. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but we're trying to make that decision if we want to do prep or if we're going to go ahead and start a family. So that's why I was saying it's kind of
right.
2 weeks is coming up and I got to make that decision.
No prep.
Right.
And also there's the search for the coach, and what you're going to do with that. I mean, so
Yeah.
I mean, I think you get I would get jittery. You know, it's super exciting to pick a show, but I feel like there's a lot to do before that with family coaching. There's a lot of things to do before that. So
a lot of thinking to do.
definitely, definitely. Well, Macy, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Anytime, anytime. IFBB Pro, Macy Tony, Duke, StrengthAddicts.com. Thanks again.
Thank you.